boom, 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 boom. 20 bucks. 20 bucks. You're on the line for 20 bucks. They keep on playing. Nobody's paying. No nickels and some dimes. Hi guys, Jabor. It's Maggie, Mrs. Calabash. Come into my kitchen. Come in, it's nice and warm and it's cosy and oh, the smells are gorgeous. It's what we call in Ireland a soft day today. It's raining, not much, but raining, and it's warm, and as I say, it's a soft day. So we want something to cheer us up. Not a dark, dismal day, but something that's nice and warm. So I got this recipe, which is Korean ground beef, and it's based on the recipe for Korean short ribs. I find that the short ribs, I love short ribs, but they are quite expensive for what they are. So it's been converted to ground beef, which is a little bit more economical. I've used a lean ground beef, and we've got a vegetable chow mein to go with it. So it's a mixture of cultures. I love different foods from different countries, and I like mixing the different cultures. And you can see on the table the full, we're ripening peppers, and these are some
Hold it down.
chocolate, what are they, Derek? They're very, very hot. Chocolate ghost peppers.
Chocolate Scotch bonnet.
Oh, chocolate Scotch bonnets. And they go this lovely chocolate colour when they're ripe. And I bit into one. I thought, that's nothing. And I really bit into one. Wow. I hit the roof. I said, Derek, try this. Yeah. Wow. Somebody else hit the roof. So when we'd eaten a loaf of bread between us to try and sort of nullify the effects of the peppers, yeah, so when you're using them in cooking, just a little goes an awful long way. But you see, we're ripening off the peppers out of the garden, and I love it this time of the year. You get all the lovely colours. Anyway, enough about peppers. Let's go back to the stove, and we're going to start with the ground beef, the Korean ground beef. And I've already started cooking the beef, and I didn't think that I was getting any fat out of it because I've got a lean ground beef. But let's just take away a little of this fat. Just a little. We don't want to take away too much because that has some flavour in there. There we are. That's it. Just look, you can see I've just taken away a little because that does add to the flavour. Now, I started this off because I did really, I want to get it, I have this thing that people know me about food poisoning. And so I just wanted to make sure that the meat is well and truly cooked. Now, I've got ginger and garlic in here. Mince the garlic. So squash it with a knife and then put some salt on it and chop it. A little salt acts as the abrasive, and you can get a much finer garlic. And I grated the ginger. I liked grated ginger. So I want those to cook for a few minutes. Now the recipe, half a cup of brown sugar. Now this is, I don't put half a cup of brown sugar in because the oyster sauce is sweet. No, this one hasn't got the soy sauce. We're not using oyster sauce in here, but I am going to be using oyster sauce in the vegetable chow mein. That is quite sweet, and I'm always a little bit afraid with being a diabetic of adding too much sugar. So I've actually put 1/3 of a cup of sugar in here. This, funny enough, brings out a lot of the flavour. Just stir everything around. Now this isn't too hot. We're putting sriracha in, but if you don't want anything too spicy, cut down on the amount of sriracha. Soy sauce. This soy sauce is gluten-free. So if anybody has a gluten intolerance in the family or friends, then you know that they're not going to be affected. Ooh, lovely. And the sriracha. And this is what's going to give it the bite. And you can add a little bit more or a little bit less. More. Yeah, well, we'll see about that because we've got something else going on as well. So there we are. Now I'm going to put this on the back of the stove, and we're going to cook this gently until the liquid has been absorbed and the meat is shiny. So let's pull that over there. Let's just turn that one down. I'm going to give it a taste at this stage because this is where I might have to add a little more or a little less. That is lovely. Yes. Just the right amount of everything. It doesn't come out and hit you. And let's just put that on over there like that so that it will cook without burning. I'm going to wash my hands because I'm a little bit sticky. Okay, now for the vegetable chow mein. Let's just, we've got sesame oil in both of these. The sesame oil, you can't really substitute because it does add so much of the flavour. I'm just going to put that on low because remember, sesame oil doesn't have such a high heat intolerance, a high heat tolerance rather. It's rather more intolerant than a vegetable oil or a canola oil. So let's go back and look at the vegetable chow mein. Again, we've got the sesame oil. Now this is a cabbage. Excuse me, I've got an itchy nose. This is a cabbage and we want roughly a cupful of cabbage. There's going to be more than a cup. I like cabbage. Derek calls me the cabbage queen. I normally just chop it, and he said, could you show people how to chop a cabbage? Because he doesn't know how to slice a cabbage. I find slicing a cabbage by hand is better than putting it through a food processor. A food processor rather over processed. So have a sharp knife and then just cut in slices like that, and that is all. Just make sure you go through, separate out as you put it in there. Now I know I'm going to have more than a cupful, but I do like cabbage. I can find various ways of cooking cabbage, believe you me. We ate a lot of cabbage as a child at home, but Mum, I remember with horror. She was a farmer's daughter, and so we were lucky. It was just after the war, and Grandad was a farmer, a mixed farmer in those days, so we had a constant supply of chicken and eggs. I say chicken, we had the chickens when they'd stopped laying. We didn't have, to have a roasted chicken was very much of a luxury. So we had the chickens that were old and a bit scrawny, and so we had boiled chicken. So vegetables at the bottom, a good mirepoix of vegetables, a chicken, and very, very carefully cooked for most of the day. And it's a bit pale and insipid when you do that. The flavour is magnificent. And so we just used to slip it, Mum just used to slip it in the oven for about half an hour just to brown the chicken off. So we were lucky. But cabbage. We grew cabbage, and Grandad grew cabbage in the fields. But it was cooked in those days to a pulp, and it had baking soda in it to keep the green. And that just takes away all the vitamins and everything. So now we tend to saute cabbage, cook it as little as possible, and no baking soda or bicarbonate of soda. So let's go back to the stove. Give this a quick rinse. It has been washed previously. Let me just put it on there to drain. Oh dear. Itchy noses. We're going to give that a stir. We don't want it to burn. Oh, lovely. It's almost there. So I'm going to turn. You can see how, look, how the liquid is being absorbed. So all that flavour goes into the meat. So let's just turn that down to low. There we are. So this is nice and hot. And I've tried to put everything in order. So the recipe said oil, cabbage and broccoli. Well, I put it in, but I first of all, cut up the carrots and the celery. And I like to put this in first because we want the cabbage and the broccoli still to be crispy. So let's just put this in like that. Put it on high. And just cut the carrots thinly like that. Can you see? Nice and thin. And the same with the celery. Try and get the same thickness so they cook at the same time. Now when you're cooking the vegetables for a stir fry or anything like this, a chow mein, cook the vegetables so they're about 75 to 80% cooked. I used to work assisted a very, very good Asian chef from Kanata, and we used to call him Mr. Chop Chop because he would. And one day, as the coordinator, I was assisting him for a night class, and I said, "How do you manage to keep your vegetables nice and crispy without going soggy?" And he said, "You don't fully cook them. If you fully cook them, you lose everything." So I thought, great. So I followed his advice always after that, and it's been successful. This is almost there. I don't want it to burn, and I want to absorb the liquid. So let's just taste this and see how it's. Because remember, we're going to be cooking it for a little bit longer. Now, I pared all the vegetables and peeled them, and I had cabbage and broccoli stems. Now, normally, what I would do, because this is really a vegetarian dish, I'm using vegetable stock, but I've used a bouillon today. But normally, I would boil up all my vegetable trimmings, and that makes your vegetable stock. Now, the reason why I haven't done this is we've got 4 dogs, and they're madly in love with vegetables. So all my pairings and stems and everything are going to be cooked up with some of their dog food, and they're going to eat them for supper. So that's why I've not used them for vegetable stock. I'm going to let them have all the goodness. But if you, to make your vegetable stock, save all your vegetable juice that you've cooked. Now, I've got some ginger here, which I'm going to add the ginger to that. Ginger and garlic, beautiful. There's the garlic all nicely minced. And you can smell the ginger. There we are. Again, the ginger's grated, so all the flavour comes out, and it's so good for the digestion. I've got snap peas. These are optional. I didn't put any, I haven't got any bean shoots because I had to go shopping a couple of days ago, and I like my bean shoots to be fresh, and so I didn't want to keep them for 2 days. So unfortunately we haven't got bean shoots, but I like to be able to taste the broccoli. So let's put the broccoli in there, and now, oh, lovely. Now we're going to add the cabbage. So you see, it's quite a substantial dish. So make sure that you have a good size wok or pan, skillet to cook it in. And now for this, we've got chow mein noodles which are cooked, some vegetable stock, we've got oyster sauce, some nice oyster sauce. That again adds a little sweetness. And some soy sauce. Again, I put this in at this stage because I want the vegetables to get the flavour. And this is, I'm not quite sure the pronunciation of this. It's a Kecap Manis. I think that's how you pronounce it. And this is a soy sauce. It's at the bottom of the thing. It's soy sauce with a teaspoonful of molasses or dark brown sugar. I've used dark brown sugar rather than molasses. And a pinch of ground anise. Now, if you don't have the anise, which I don't because I don't use it much, then a pinch of Chinese 5-spice. And I will put the recipe up for a homemade Chinese 5-spice. The Chinese 5-spice actually uses Sriracha peppercorns, which sometimes are a little bit difficult to get. You can put black peppercorns in its place, but it doesn't have the same flavour. But if we can't get everything, then we have to make do. And as I say, it's not, if you're not going to use it a lot, then it's not worth going out and spending a lot of money. So, whoa, we've lost it. Look, I don't know if I can pick it up. There we are. It is all wiped down. I'm going to put the liquid in there. Bring this up to the boil. So that's why you don't want to overcook your vegetables in the first place. That's lovely. And I've got some snap peas. So I'm going to add some snap peas to this. And we just have to cook these until everything is nice and crispy. So let's check for seasoning. We might have to add just a little salt and pepper, who knows? I'm going to add, I don't want to add too much salt though, so let's just put a little of my seasoning in, and then we'll give it another go. These don't take long to cook, and when it's almost cooked, then we put the noodles into there. We might have to add just a little pepper. Yes, just a little pepper, and then it's ready to go. There we are. A little ground black pepper. I just have peppercorns and I grind them in. I have an old coffee grinder, actually, just a little one, and I keep it just for spices. And I bought this years and years and years ago at a thrift store, and I just keep it for vegetables, for spices. And so I like to grind all my own spices. There we are. Now, chow mein noodles. These were cooked just for a minute. If you cook them too long, they go all mushy, and you don't want mush in there. And also, rinse them. I've not taken away the starch, so I've not put any cold water over them, because the starch on them will help all the sauce to stick. But I just did put a little sesame oil in there, put them around, toss them around, and that will stop them from sticking, is the sesame oil. So we want to put those in there like that. Whoa, look at this. And we want to just try and keep everything in the skillet or your wok, and coat the noodles and just cook them until the noodles are just heated through. It's such a quick meal. It really is. I want to, because I'm tasting again, because we've added more to it. And you see, the noodles absorb most of the liquid. And it's the noodles that we want to make sure that are heated through. Not quite. They will be by the time we've finished. There we are. Not quite heated through. Let's have a look at the meat. Yes, you can see, look, it's all, let's turn that off. Can you see? The liquid has mostly been absorbed. If you stir it around, I just want a little liquid there, and you can see how shiny the meat is. So we can take this and start dishing this up, and by then the noodles will be finished. So everything is turned off. Let's take this over here. Now then, I think I might have been a little bit optimistic with the size of my my serving plate. Hang on a minute, Derek. Sorry, I need to go back. He'll kill me. Oh dear. I'm just seeing what I've got to. The green onions I'm going to put over the green onions are there. I'm going to put that over the. I'm going to put this over the green onions go on here. Sesame seeds go on the chow mein. So we've not got. Excuse me whilst I dip into the cupboard. There we are. Let's just put these on here, like this. It really does smell really, really good. Stand that on a pan stand so that you're not burning your stovetop. And you see, look how the green brings out the colour of the meat. Lots and lots of green onions, because if you notice, there's no onion in the recipe. There's no onion in either of those recipes, which is unusual. There we are. That is, I think a little, just a little red pepper on that will work. Okay, there we are, just a little bit of colour. The vegetables are ready. Da-da-da-dum. Turn them off. Remember, that gets hot, Marjorie. My name is actually Marjorie, not Maggie. Never call myself Marjorie. Hate the name from when I was first able to speak. And only my relatives in England know me as Marjorie. Mind you, I was adopted and my surname was Allen, and my mother wanted to call me Barbara. Well, Barbara Allen was, it's a folk song, and she was tried for murder, and I think she was hung. So I'm quite pleased she didn't call me Barbara. So Marjorie is bad enough. So I like Maggie. And I used to have a firm and a store called, a restaurant called Maggie May in France. And Kate's dad said, when you get to Canada, you are not going to be known as Maggie May, the Rod Stewart song, because Maggie was a lady of the night, so to speak, in Liverpool, in England. And she walked down Lime Street, which is a very famous street in Liverpool. So he said, don't call yourself Maggie May. So no, there we are. Some sesame seeds on the top. Now, if you're having, I keep saying this because a friend of mine was put in hospital after just tasting a grape on the plate her husband had he had some sesame seeds, a sesame bagel, and she was allergic to sesame seeds. So just make sure. And there we are. One very quick, nourishing meal. Enjoy! And thank you for watching. And we play out with your ball. Keep on playing, but nobody's paying. No dance, some nickels and some dimes. $20. $20.